hoopinhoops.com. Click subscribe, and if you like the video, let me know. I'm thinking by now we all saw the mix-up between LeBron James and Isaiah Stewart, the Detroit versus Lakers game. They both got ejected, and they both were suspended. LeBron got a one-game suspension, and Stewart got two-game suspension. I get the double ejections based on the rules. We can easily see why the refs ejected the players. The topic for conversation is with the league's punishment. I have no problem with players being suspended by the league, but the way the suspensions are handed out, I'm not sure that it is justified. Now, people are saying James should have gotten a greater suspension than Stewart. Others think that the suspensions should have been greater in general. There are a host of different views. That is all good. My take is more about consistency. On Stewart's part, you expected him to get suspended. We have seen players get fined or suspended for failure to leave the court in a timely manner. The way he was bulldozing over persons on the court, one can see the suspensions coming, at least one or two. I'm not saying he does not have a right to feel the way he did. He certainly did. When you get clocked the way Stewart got clocked, you're going to get upset. Of course, there is an expectation that players do not let their emotions cause them to go overboard with their actions. So I get his suspension by the league, and it's based on, historical record. On LeBron end is where I think it gets hairy. Now, some persons say LeBron swung his elbow high. That is not true. I recommend persons who make that sort of statement to go back and look at the video again. You will see Stewart leaning into LeBron, who is further away from the basket. Now, the players are hoping to get a rebound, so you would think they would be holding on to the player closer to the basket and not the one further away. But that is for a different conversation. Stewart is somewhat to the back, holding LeBron's arm. And after the basket is made, LeBron flings his arm to get Stewart off. This is the thing. LeBron intentionally flings his arm. I do not think he intended to hit Stewart in the face, and certainly did not intend to have Stewart's face all bloody. But out of frustration, he wanted to get him off. I would imagine some of that frustration would have to do with the Lakers being down double digits to Detroit. We see that all the time. Two players jockeying for position, one player defending a player, another player, or something along those lines, and they get tangled up. One player would either fling the player off, push him off, or something of that nature. You see that happens all the time. And this is one of the things that happen with LeBron. You know, a player is holding him, he's frustrated, he flings him off. Uh, what you normally don't see is that when it happens in the past, you don't normally see someone gets hit in the head, and you certainly don't see, the blood, at least no, most of the time. The other thing is Stewart is 6'8". He's as tall as LeBron. LeBron did not raise his elbow high. Once he flings his elbow, of course the elbow will be away from the body. But look at the elbow in comparison to his body. LeBron elbow is not shoulder height. It's not high. Stewart is bent, and as a result, his head is low, which is why he got hit in the face. As I said, LeBron chose to get him off is what's responsible for the hit. The way he chose to get him off. But this is how the hit happened. So I find the suspension for LeBron off. If you're going to suspend LeBron, then you have to be consistent in how that behavior is penalized. If a player aggressively flings another player off, then there has to be, um, you know, some form of a fine for the player if there is no contact. If there is contact, then there is a suspension. You cannot make it a one off thing because it so happens that there is blood and it's over dramatized. When Joel Embiid swung his arm, almost knocking out Lonzo Ball, we know he cannot do that. He got fined for no contact. Had he hit Lonzo, the suspensions would be forthcoming. That was clearly a dangerous play on Embiid's part. Similarly, if you suspend LeBron, you have to put what he did in the category of dangerous play, and not just for this situation, but for all such situations. Otherwise, the suspension is just not justified, plain and simple. Hoopinhoops.com